Hey everybody, welcome to episode 82 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Welcome back, I'm Ben, and once again I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben. How you doing, BT?
Hello. Doing really good. How are you?
Not bad, man. What's new?
Not a lot. I mean, I'm looking forward to getting to a hobby because it's different for once. So I can talk about that. But otherwise, not a lot. 2 weeks going by. Christmas is coming. It's all going very rapidly.
Yes, Christmas is legitimately soon. So we're recording on the 9th. This is coming out on the 11th. Yep. Okay. Yeah. And that means the next episode is the Christmas episode.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that is coming quick.
We better sort that out. We better sort that out because that will be coming out actually on Christmas because that's the 25th. Oh damn! Have you started?
Did we do that last year?
I think we
it
did
came out on Christmas last year.
Yeah, we moved it around. All right, it's going to be Christmas jumpers and stuff next episode. Then, have you started Christmas shopping yet?
I haven't. No, I'm really bad when it comes to this. Like, I'm a very much last minute shopper. Fortunately, my partner and I, we have decided we're not going to do like Christmas stuff this year, so that helps it. Just because we're moving house, we're just going to focus on we'll do our Christmas when we move and sort everything out then.
Just before you move house, here's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So that is a little bit easier, but no, I'm a terrible Christmas shopper.
Yeah,
how about you?
Amazon Prime. Someone else asked me this the other day. They were like, "Have you started Christmas shopping?" I was like, "Is it the 20th yet?" No. But I think we're having quite a quiet year when it comes to the Christmas thing as well. I mean, we've got the whole house thing hopefully next year too, but also just, I don't know, we've had a great year and we've got a load of stuff that we don't need, and actually there's probably not much point. Christmas now is about eating and sleeping more than anything else.
Exactly, yeah. It's like honestly, I know people get like, it's kind of like bar humbug is the way to go. But no, Christmas is excellent. I love waking up, just starting on, like, what is it? Bucks Fizz straight first in the morning. Let's start that early. And then it's just, sage and onion all day. And it's the best.
It is so good. It is so good. Although I've always wanted to have a Christmas curry, like, as the Christmas dinner. I know that, like, the turkey is traditional. I have very little time for turkey. I'm cooking for the family this year, and I was like, do you really want a turkey? Like, there's only going to be 4 of us because my brother and his girlfriend are at theirs. Tiff's family are spread around their various people, so it's just I'm cooking for my mum and dad and Tiff. I was like, should we just get a chicken and we'll do a beef joint as well? That'd be great. And mum was like, nice. but what about the turkey? I'm like, how much are we going to eat? Anyway,
It's a lot,
yeah. I'm now cooking a turkey as well. So, because apparently that's the only tradition that matters, is that we have a massive bland chicken instead of standard chicken. I'm like, no. Christmas is about quantity, not quality. I was like, all right, okay.
The English tradition flavour of bland.
No. It was like, right, yeah, fair enough, but I am covering it with bacon. Like, this thing is going to come out looking like an armadillo made of pig. It's like, this is it for Christmas. Yeah. I'm going to stuff it with a beef joint. It's going to be...
and a duck.
Yeah, and a duck. Turducken. Yeah. Right. Anyway, Ben, other than Christmas food, what are we talking about on today's episode?
Today we're going to review Dungeon Bowl, share our thoughts on that. We're also going to be going through the November FAQ for Blood Bowl, which came out recently, which has some pretty interesting stuff in, and then also the usual games and hobby.
Absolutely. Right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back with news. Right, levels are good. My camera is a little green because I haven't figured this out yet. Have I turned the very aggravating echo off? I have. Had to re-record a bunch of videos this week because new camera, and the camera's got a mic on it because it's a phone, and then I ended up just having this echo, and I absolutely...
Did you just turn off the audio for that?
No, when you export it, it's just say as an MKV, it's all one track.
Oh, okay.
Riggedy wrecked, son.
You can't just like mute the track.
No.
Oh no, but I guess you need to Yeah, you know, do separate audio. Yeah. So.
Yeah. It was close. It was close, but it's fine. Anyway, Blood Bowl news. Okay, so Blood Bowl is just not slowing down. I'm starting to think Games Workshop actually do like Blood Bowl again, which is
I know
it's
great.
Yeah, everyone's so used to just being like the stepchild that lives under a stairs and is apparently a wizard. Wizards in Blood Bowl, the way forward. Anyway, first bit of Blood Bowl news is something that we've all been massively needing, and there's no other way to get it to the pitch, and that is another Rat Ogre. Rat Ogre. I mean, what do you think to the mini, Ben?
I absolutely love it. I think it's a huge improvement to the previous one. I'm not huge on the paint job on it, if I'm being totally honest.
Do you know what? As far as the Forge World paint jobs go, I think this is one of the better ones I've seen. Like,
that's true.
It's the least flat that I think we've seen in a long time, and they've got different skin tones. It's well executed. It's not brilliant, but the model is a massive improvement.
I love the model. Do we suspect this is another Chogger's sculpt?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So there's been a lot of talk about this, and I will admit I started some of it. I was like, what does this mean? Like, what does this mean? Are we getting more Skaven? Is there going to be another Skaven team? What are we going to see land next? No, I think very much that. I know you and I talked about this before, Ben. Like, when it gets to joining Games Workshop and digital sculpting, they'll have you make some models. And actually, once they've got the model, it cannot be much for them to print it on a high def printer and get the guys to make a mold of it, like, at all. Yeah. Like, we could fund that, and I think if they could, and they've just gotten it. So yeah, I think they probably had him do a bunch of big guy models, and they've been like, oh, nice Croxagore, like nice Rat Ogre, like, and to be fair, this could have been stuff that he was working on before he joined Games Workshop.
Quite possibly. Like, I think the fat chains they really remind me of the giant.
Yes.
Like, they seem really similar.
Yeah, it's probably the same. And that's the cool thing about 3D sculpting, though, isn't it? You get to reuse those assets. Like, it's wicked.
I mean, you see it on Games Workshop stuff all the time. Like, I remember the Orc terrain they produced is like bits of the Orc vehicles.
It's like a Where's really cool. Wally of sprues that they've actually just used.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. See, they used to do that. Like, back in the old days, they'd take old models, cut them up, and sculpt bits over them to make new masters of stuff. I mean, it's no different, really.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And use that argument whenever anyone challenges you about 3D printing Games Workshop stuff.
They used to.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever hard sculpted a master of anything?
I've sculpted stuff, but never produced it. I've only ever had digital stuff.
So I have this problem. I have many problems, but this one is probably like not going to surprise anybody. But like, when I create work or when I create something, I get really anxious if I can't replicate it endlessly. Mm-hmm. I have this weird thing. So you know when I did that dungeon tile thing, I was like, yeah, I could, like, a couple of years ago, like all the plaster tiles and stuff. I was like, like I want to make a bunch of tiles, but I need to make infinite tiles or I'm going to be upset. And it's really strange. So when I did that, I made one master and then I edited that master. Like, I made a model of it and then added other stuff and took it and then made masters of that. And it's very much how, like, the original sculpting was done. Like, they'd take those weird body things and they'd add it to it. And you used to see it with all, like, the old Games Workshop metal stuff. Like, they'd have, like, basically the same poses or the same legs, and you'd be like, hey, it's the same legs because they've used that Kata-chan guide legs. Kata-chan and Orlocks, like, so similar. Oh, yeah. The Orlocks were basically
different jackets.
Yeah, they just had jackets on.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Hang on.
Because it's like, oh yeah, we need some dudes in Bane.
Comes on the camera. There's the old Kata-chan lieutenant.
Or is that an Orlock leader?
Yeah, I thought it was Necromunda one.
Yeah, right. Exactly, because that's how it used to go. So now, like, 3D printing with the assets is exactly the same. It's just a slightly different medium. Anyway, so the Rat Ogre landed, and there was a lot of talk around, like, oh, are we going to see another Skaven team? Are we going to see a different? Like, are we going to see who are the beast dudes for Skaven?
The beast dudes,
like the Beast Clan. Is it Moulder?
Oh, yeah, I think it is.
Because there's Pestilens are the...
I have all the ogres, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the case of, are we going to see a Clan Molder team? Like, is it important that they've got another Rat Ogre, or is it just because actually they put the Rat Ogre in every other team at the moment? Which
Yeah, Chaos collecting one.
yeah, I mean the Rat Ogre's in more teams than Khorne are in Dungeon Bowl colleges. So it's I mean it's a really cool model. And we do have a Croxagore landing, because I know that in the group chat Ian was like, oh, rip Croxagore. And I was like, hey, the Croxagore's actually coming now. I mean, when it comes to Blood Bowl, are we at a point where we're complete for current teams? What else are we missing?
That's a really good point. What are we missing? I think that is everything.
Yeah, I mean, Rumbelow.
Not Teams of Legend, obviously. But...
No. Of the teams they've brought back proper, I don't know if we're missing any positional or any star players except Rumbelow and Bryce the Slice Campbell, the ghost dude. And then we're back up to speed with everything. It's just funny.
Yeah, all the goblins have all of their positionals, don't they?
Oh, yeah. They do. Poor goblins.
Yeah.
They need their star players desperately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So this is cool. So we're at a point now where they're getting to redev some stuff, and they kind of have done it. They did it with the star players going into this edition, and I liked the old Griff because he kind of had like a Judge Dredd vibe, but the new Griff, with the exception of the instructions being just wrong, is a great model. The new Varag
really good,
is a tank. So actually, them updating some models is great. Sadly, it is going to be another Forge World resin kit, and he's a big boy, so this is probably not going to be one of your 19, 20 pound ones. This is probably going to be a 30.
Yeah, most likely. He does look pretty hench.
Yeah.
The 40mm base for sure, so yeah.
I can't remember how much Creek was, but I think he's probably the same similar size. Yeah, which is fair enough. Anyway, the Rat Ogre was spoiled, which is pretty cool. And before we move on to the FAQ stuff, Barak Farblast was also previewed. Now, this is pretty cool. I mean, Barak Farblast is a really kind of iconic Blood Bowl star player. Him and Flint Churnblade, like the two, like, why is there a dude with a bazooka? Why is there a dwarf with a chainsaw? That's kind of like the pinnacle of Blood Bowl. So the fact they brought this guy back is really interesting. I mean, what do you reckon to the model?
I think this actually is maybe one of my favourite Blood Bowl models that exist. And I don't know if that's because it's a canon, but I just think it's so good. Like, I'm not usually a huge fan of like sculpted smoke and stuff like that.
No.
But I just think this is so well done. It's so dynamic. Like, he's being like launched back from the ball he's shooting out of a cannon, and I just think that's amazing. To put all of that into like such a small frame is awesome.
Now, you say small frame. Skrull, when he came out from Forge World, was noticeably smaller than dwarves and halflings. I
mean, he's missing the
mass, I guess. Yeah. So let's hope this guy lands and is the proper size. I mean, on the website they've got the picture of the original Barak Farblast, which is just a proper retro model with the round hat and everything, and it's a cool reimagining and massively fits in with the dwarf aesthetic. Like, he's just a dwarf player with a cannon.
Yeah.
And
really cool.
Classic Games Workshop, he's on 1 foot as well, which doesn't actually cause as many problems as it could do for Blood Bowl, because
that one looks like he's got like a sculpted bit as well that glues on a bit easier.
There's a bit of chunk there. I just love it. I think it's wicked that they're bringing back these star players. And I mean, what do you feel about the fact that they're kind of bringing them back ad hoc now?
I think it's fine. I think it's just more options. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of is the price point they come in at, but I'm happy to see them exist for sure. It's just not something that's really accessible for a lot of people, especially at this pace they're bringing them out.
It's really interesting, isn't it? For ages, we only saw star players that landed in conjunction with like spikes and releases. Then we've seen Creek, and we kind of thought, "Ooh, is that going to be tied in with Chaos Dwarves?" No, Creek Rust Gouge of the Verminator just got released just because they'd made it, and now Barak Farblast is being released, and we've got to the point where now, like, actually the rules come with the pack. Like, it doesn't mean anything potentially. I mean, it might mean something. What else could have World's Edge? Is it going to be Norse? Is it going to be Chaos Dwarves? Could he play for both? The good dwarves and the bad dwarves. Like, it is definitely a possibility. But Creek Rustgouge just landed, and Barrack Farblast is just going to land with rules. And I mean, like you said, Ben, the price point is not brilliant. And if this was like a collectible card game, or another famous tabletop pay to win game like Age of Sigmar or or 40k, like, boom, we've got this new special character. This is a £20 tax. You have to use him to be competitive. That is something that, with the exception of the Hackflem debacle, which we are going to come to later, isn't really something in Blood Bowl. Like, this is more like a living card game. Like, this is like, hey, here's an expansion. Like, yeah, it's 20 quid, but you can run him and he's cool, and it's a thing. It's a painting project. It's one thing. It just feels worse at the moment because they've just dropped the Bloodspawn and Scylla and Max, and what else has come out from Forge World recently? The Verminator, and there was another Forge World thing that came at the same time as the Verminator, Wilhelm Chaney, all that, and the Khorne team, and then Dungeon Bowl has just landed. I mean, why do you think all of a sudden it's Blood Bowl fever when we've had basically nothing this year?
I don't know. It's like you're saying with like the ad hoc release, though, is it seems like they have these things and they're less like, well, we need to support. Well, actually, because I was going to say, like, with the star players, like, they released the Khorne star players all quite rapidly with the team coming out, and that's fair enough. But then you say, you got Creek and Barrack, and
just randomly like, dropped, and Rumbelow isn't even out yet. Hasn't even been previewed.
It's hard to say.
It's weird.
I don't know what their plan is, but I like it. I like the support. It's just there's always that element of just like, this is really cool, but I can only spend so much on the hobby a month, and sometimes 20 quid is better on a team than it is on a ball for the can. As cool as it is.
It's all right. It's like cool dropping a star player a month and a half after a team's come out, because you're like, oh, I kind of got an itching for something. Like, yeah, I'll spend my hobby budget. I'll pick up a star player this month because nothing else is going on. Like, it's pretty cool in that regard. And it just seems that if they'd gone, right, you know what, let's spread this out across the year, and then everyone's going to pay £25 every month, rather than just being like, oh, I'm now going to have to spend £200, but I would have spent £300 across the year. But now you've got these shiny new releases, and I've only got £200 to spend this month, so they're kind of missing out. It's a very strange one. But if you look at this compared to the other games like Necromunda and Underworlds, where they have a legitimate roadmap, Blood Bowl just feels like a passion project. And I really like that. I mean, we here on the channel, we're a passion project. We try our very best to have a schedule and to put things out regularly and stuff like that. But we do this because we love it. Underworlds, they do it to a strict schedule because that's where their head is. Blood Bowl just every now and again gets a ton of love. And in the last month, we've had a team. 2-star players, 3-star players, 4-star players, and 2 big guys, and a boxed game, and it's great. Like, it's brilliant.
It's cool. It puts on the radar as well, because I've had friends who just play Warhammer, just the big tabletop games, the army games, and even they're just like, oh, this Blood Bowl thing you'd be going on about, Ben. Is it good? Is it any good?
Yeah. And that's awesome.
Like, yes, I have been saying that for many months.
So, you know what? Maybe big splash releases, maybe big chunks of release is better for the game.
I think it might be.
From a marketing point of view from Games Workshop, because it's like, whoa, there's a ton of support for that game all of a sudden. What's going on with that game? As opposed to, and don't care about Blood Bowl this month. Next, move on to this. Oh my gosh, like December is all Blood Bowl. Like, what the heck is this? Maybe they've got it right. Like, maybe keeping us on our toes and stressing out, people to be like, oh, there's something else, and every Monday there's like Blood Bowl stuff coming on. So every Monday I'm in a meeting and I'm like, come on, Games Workshop, wait till 5, come on, wait till 5, and they never do. And I see all the WhatsApp pinging in the background. I'm like, oh, Discord's going crazy. What have they done? What are we going to see? And it's a star player and the FAQ, and it's awesome. It's really awesome. Okay, Blood Bowl news. I think that's about it. I couldn't see any Kickstarters going on at the moment. The Undead Stadium one has been basically fulfilled now.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, some nice messages of that. He's just working on fleshing out the team. Undead fleshing out the team to have flesh golems and werewolves as well, which is pretty cool. So actually, from the last time we spoke on the episode, we previewed the models, and now they're basically out. I don't know if they're supported yet or not, but Ben, we'll talk about this in hobby in just a second. I have been on an absolute roll with supporting my own stuff, and I know that it has been a year now, but I haven't had a failure from my own supported stuff in a very long time. I have had to support stuff that came pre-supported because I felt more comfortable doing my own supports than the pre-supports, and I'm like,
it's true.
All right, we have finally made it. Like I scoffed at somebody's video on YouTube yesterday because they were doing a thing, and I was like, what are they doing? And I was like, hey, you've made it. You're a grognard printer now.
Yeah. You can now complain. You can leave comments on YouTube videos explaining why people are wrong. Yeah, it's all really good.
Oh, the internet's not a place for telling people we're wrong, right?
I don't know how to respond to that.
Siri doesn't know how to respond to that.
Sure, it comes in.
That's incredibly useful. All right, groovy. I think that is it for Blood Bowl news. So let's have a good chat about hobby, and then we can dive into all like the Dungeon Bowl stuff and the FAQ stuff because it's been quite a busy month. Okay, and
you okay?
Yeah, just just born different, Ben. I need to know the end of some stuff before the movie. Before it I'm like okay. So the Matrix is coming out, like the Matrix 4. Let's do it again, and it looks trippy. But like, if the plot lands before I get a chance to go see that film, I'm not going to be able to not go and read it, and it will in no way ruin the movie for me. Like plot twists and stuff like that. I don't like them. It's like birthday surprises and stuff. I live in fear of my birthday. So I'm like, what do you want to do for your birthday? I was like, oh, nothing really. I just love to chill out and, paint or something. But no, it's a birthday surprise. What are we doing today? We're going to see your family for your birthday. And I'm like, I wasn't bad.
That is the worst. Like, I'm with you on that. That is the worst possible thing you could ever do for someone's birthday, just putting it out there.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to take
don't
this.
do anything unless they say they want to.
Yeah, then we're going to go for dinner. I'm like, that's really lovely, sweetheart. That sounds brilliant. And everyone's going to be there. I'm like, oh, why? What is this? No. I remember when I lived in Dorset, like I phoned my mum. I think it was on my birthday. I don't know why I phoned her, or I think I probably just had post or something. I was like, hey mum. She's like, oh, happy birthday. You having a great day? You coming around to see us? And I was like, no, I'm off today, so I'm just going to paint. Oh, you're not going to come see us? I was like, it's my birthday. You want me to drive an hour to see you? Like,
we do that on a normal day.
Yeah, like, oh, I guess I'm coming to see the family then. And then the following year we had a power cut. So Tiff and I set up a game of we were going to watch, I can't remember if it was Falling Skies or The Expanse. Like I was just going to binge some episodes of that, and then in the afternoon we were going to play a game of in the evening we played Dead of Winter. Awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Super lined up. Got up, power's off. I'm like, oh, this sucks. That's fine. Like, we'll just do some stuff. Power came back on. We made dinner, sat down, set up Dead of Winter, and the power went out again. So I had 2 power cuts. So we played Dead of Winter by candlelight, which was actually...
That actually sounds pretty cool.
It was. Like, it was really cool. Yeah. I mean, potentially a fire risk. There's a lot of cardboard in that game. But...
Oh, who cares?
I don't know. I mean, did you ever I guess LARPing is mega uncool. But like when we were younger, we must have been like, I don't know, 12, 13. We had proper like Stranger Things D&D nights. And
I'm so jealous.
We all made Viking shields one day, and then we camped in the garage. Like we went full medieval. Like my mum and dad were so great when we were kids. Like they made us like this massive pot of soup and they got some rotisserie chickens. We had like this banquet in the garage, and we all just like camped out there.
Incredible.
It was wicked. Like we had Actually, we didn't have candles because my granddad was a bit of a nutter, so we had like paraffin lamps and stuff. Like again, massive fire risk.
All out,
Yeah, I mean, my granddad is the reason that we like with our longbows used to go out and be like, oh, let's make flaming arrows, and we'd tie tissue paper to the end of it, and he would be like, what are you doing? That's not going to work. Give it here. And he'd go in there and he'd come back with like a pot of paraffin soaked rags, and he's like, use these because they'll burn better. I missed that guy. He was awesome. He was great.
Use these children.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. I just can't imagine what he used to get up to on the farm when he was young. Actually, I do. It was shooting rats with a rifle. Woohoo, Hampshire. No, it was wicked.
That is a very Hampshire thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's proper Lewis Morgan. Proper Lewis Morgan, that one. Anyway, hobby-wise, BT, I've got a picture of your lovely red tank wagon of the orcs.
Oh, you put the wagon up?
Yeah, put the wagon up.
So, okay. I have...
This is show and tell
finished.
time now. Ben's been busy.
It is. I've had a hell of a week, not gonna lie. So I finished the Necron commission, which is finally done.
Oh,
after
mate, congratulations.
5 months, I think. Yeah, all sent off, all happy. That's all good.
Did it arrive?
I'm very relieved to have that out of my head.
Did
it arrive.
Did arrive.
That's also the thing, is I sent it by raw mail, all packaged up nicely, sent it special delivery guaranteed, had it all tracked and insured. Didn't arrive the next day. Was having a panic attack.
Yeah, we were playing Dungeon Bowl, and you kept twitching, and I was like, "Are you okay? Do I need to phone Alison?"
Yeah,
you're like, it's like it's 1 o'clock. Like
I need to know where this is.
Yeah.
I need to. Yeah, I need to go. I need to hunt it down. I'm gonna manually deliver it.
Yeah.
And no, it just arrived a day late, but I got that all refunded, and it was all good. But that arrived, it's all good. But yeah, and instead, I've been painting my old orcs for 40k. I've got a game the weekend that we're recording this, so when this podcast comes out, I'll be playing the game. Got a little tournament around with friends.
That's so good.
I haven't seen in a while, so yeah, there's like 4 of us, I think, just having a little tournament, which is going to be really fun. So it's like 3 games. We're going to time them, and yeah, see
sounding
who wins.
less fun.
Time I've,
That's
like,
fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so chill. We're going to have
like...
timers. They're going to shock you if you go over 4 minutes a turn. Space Marine players.
It's more to. It's more so we can all play each other. That's kind of the reason. But yeah, I'm not huge on 40k, if I'm honest. Like, I like the setting and I love the models and I love everything about it except the game.
Oh, we were talking about this before the recording, weren't we? Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I was watching a live stream of it,
be...
and it was just like there's guys really cleverly put together, because we've been doing loads of cool stuff with cameras to try and make our games easier and quicker to film, and we're watching some stuff. And I was watching this 40k game, and I was like, it's a nice looking table, and then just listening to them argue over like, oh yeah, this guy can charge this guy, but you have to turn his base sideways. So it led to this situation where there was 2 buildings, and this knight was sidestepping along like he was Snake, like along the side of the wall. And the guy was like, "No, I can't quite reach." I was like, "What do you mean? Oh, it's 8 inches. It's just over 8 inches if he can't charge." I'm like, "Buddy, come on! Like, what is this? Like, it's not Phoenix Wright." Did make me
I'm worried
consider
it might
it.
be like that, but.
No, when you're hanging out with friends, you've got to go with the attitude of like, round up, yeah, it's fine. This is
I think
cool.
we're just gonna get food and
I mean, that's the best way to play.
Should be fun. But yeah, it'd be nice to play orcs. I've been painting loads of bikers and my big tank in the show and tell. So trying to get all this ready for Saturday. This definitely won't be, but no, it's all good fun. It's all good fun.
Love
having
the show
fun
and
painting
tell.
my own things for a change.
Yeah, I've actually
How
done.
about you?
I've actually done.
You've been.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a stressful week this week, suffering from a bit of just burnout and general kind of misery and rage of some certain things, and I was like, you know what, I need to take some time. So I've been printing just stuff to make myself feel better, because it's essentially retail therapy, but it don't feel quite so bad when you throw it in the bin after never having used it. And this week I printed some 10mm fantasy, some battle tech, halflings from Punga,
Nice.
and some 3 mil battle mechs for no purpose, and some spaceships. Like, just complete, like, none of it is useful. Like, in my head, it's useful.
Those Punga halflings, though,
They're so good.
very good.
I don't know if I've got a picture of them. I'll see if I can put that on the thing. No, I'm really impressed with them. I scaled them up to 110. I did one print of 100, 110, 120. And 110 is the place. That's where you want to be, which is
That seems like
awkward.
the case for most of Punga stuff, right?
I think the dwarves were 120,
110.
but the Nurgle were 110,
okay.
just to get them the same size as the Games Workshop stuff. That's
Yeah.
kind of where you had to be. But no, I just took some time and did some hobby painting of my own. I lost a bit. We got new cameras and stuff. We've been doing some new setup. So if you're watching this on YouTube, like, hopefully you can see my massive tired eyes in slightly better quality with a nice green shimmer around the edge, because I haven't got the balances right. Man, new camera has a mic. What you got to do when you put a new mic setting up? Turn the flipping mic off. And what have you got to do every single time? Always make sure that your mic channel, the additional new mic channel, is switched off. And what didn't I do when I recorded Whip Wednesday and 2 college videos? That and the match preview. So I had an evening where I
For all of them.
yeah, all 4. So I didn't have time to re-record the match preview. So I just chugged it up there, played with the audio a little bit to make it a little bit better. A couple of people were really lovely about it. Like, yeah, sounds cool. Sounds like you're in a dungeon. Sounds like you're in a stadium. I'm like, thank you for just being able to watch the video. But Whip Wednesday was like 37 minutes this week, and I couldn't do it because it was too echoey. It was just, I can't do this. So I binned that one off and then had to re-record the college videos. So going into today, I was just like, I just need to paint things to make myself feel better. So I've got some 10 mil fantasy on the go for literally no reason. But actually, there's not no reason. Every now and again, it's nice to have a palette cleanser. So this is kind of,
It is.
yeah. I mean, Ben and I have been working on some cool stuff, and I love little ideas. So I got my little 10 mil fantasy guys. Started painting them up. Got some 3. I just wanted to print some battle mech stuff because some guys sent in for Whip Wednesday some battle techs, some battle mechs, so I was like, you know what, I need to print some battle mechs. And I kind of thought, well, maybe I'll just print them 50% scale, just to, then I can have like a teeny tiny little mech battle on my desk, which then escalated to a point where I printed their bases out as well. So I got 8 mechs, one of them because
Amazing.
I did the supports for, and I put it in the hot water for too long, so when I ripped off the supports, it realized that his leg and an arm was missing. I was like, that's my fault.
That sucks.
I ripped it off. Like, that's on me. Fortunately, it was the one mech that I duplicated, so I wasn't too worried. I was like, I've just had a hunchback and had space on the plate, so I just copied it. I was like, there you go, hunchback's a small mech. Now I've got 2. Well, now I've got 1. But I got this little cork board that I got to build a Warcry board from, and it's just been like, it's just hung up on my wall. Because Tiff stopped questioning it now as well, which is really nice of her. There was a picture there. There is now just a blank corkboard at like 60 by 80 centimeter corkboard, just like in our upstairs hallway. And she's just stopped questioning it. I'm like, yeah, you know what? If I did some 3 mil mechs and just made that a cool terrain board, like, you could have a well good like mini game of mech battles. Anyway,
That would be really cool.
it was just kind of like a nice little bit of a palette cleanser. So I just went in on the hobby. I mean, you guys will probably know if you follow the channel in any way, shape or form, I smashed out 2 Dungeon Bowl teams as soon as it landed, and man, Dark Elves, eh?
I know.
They're fun to build really quickly. I'd forgotten about that, but I had space on the plate, as they say, and I printed out a couple of the Punga halflings. And I mean, someone said like they're clones of Games Workshop, and that's kind of how third-party stuff works. But really impressed with the detail.
I think they've improved on it. I think they're a little bit more interesting. They've got character. I mean, not saying the Games Workshop ones don't, but I really like them. I think they look different enough. I'd say the Nurgle ones are also kind of clones, but in the same way, where they've just taken it down a different direction.
Yes, these halflings look like the last halfling team from the 90s. but scaled up with added pirate stuff. It works perfectly. Like, they're not new. No one's going to look at them and be like, wow, what a great idea. They're going to look at them and go, oh, they're excellent. Where are they from? Like, and that, you know what? That's fine. Apart from the weird dude with a crab as an earring, basically. That's a bit of a not ideal. And the albatross is wicked though. Anyway, there's some cool models. So I've just painted some stuff because I needed to spend a little bit of time just doing nothing, because it had been it'd been a very, very busy couple of weeks with I've got some 10mm halfling cavalry printed off here as well. But they'll probably stay in. They'll probably stay in grey for a bit longer. But it's good to do some hobby every now and again. But I think it's important that we address how bad the Games Workshop metallic silvers are.
You had a nightmare of this today.
What is this? 3 of them. I got lead belcher, iron something, and whatever the heck is like the top silver in the range. That's just milk.
Like Stormhost or something.
Let's have a look. What is it? Because it's just atrocious. I'm going to shame this paint now, because you guys listening, never buy it. Like, anything else is better. Like, Sharpie is better. Runefang Steel, I'm going to shame you, because you were Stormhost Silver is it is just milk. Like, this is garbage stuff.
Need several layers of that one. I'm not going to lie, I stopped using Games Workshop Metallics quite a while back.
But they used to be amazing. Mithril Silver, Chainmail, like, these were amazing paints back in the day. You could never fault them. So I had to bust out this 75-year-old Game Colour Silver, like, and mash it up with one of these weird silvers. No, actually, I used Skaven Blight Dinge, which is a grey paint.
Oh wow!
And mixed it with that silver to get an actual silver. I really like the effect, to be fair.
I was going to say that's some chemistry right there.
But I don't know. I was like, why is this so difficult? That's why I said to Ben, I was like, I just needed to switch off and de-stress by doing some painting. And you were like, oh, how'd it go? And I was like, it was horrific, because the silver was garbage. And I'm going through my 3 boxes of paints, and I'm like, none of this is of any use. And I made a huge mistake.
I'll take this time to plug a good silver, which I did to you. If you get the chance to try, so it's a terrible example I was going to show on camera because it's covered in paint.
Well, if the paint's good enough to cover itself, and I think it's a good paint, because you could cover the old Games Workshop paint pot with the paint itself, and it wouldn't matter. That's how strong their branding is.
It's this range from Vallejo. It says metal color. They say airbrush colors on, but just ignore that. You can brush them on fine. I do all the time. They come in quite big pots, and they come with a little ball built in, so they shake really nicely. But these are really good. If you want like silver metallics, get these. The copper is also really good. But yeah, I would swear by these. I don't get anything else anymore.
So, 2 lessons. One is that these silvers are so thin, even Duncan wouldn't use them. And secondly, one of my paint boxes is this, which is a 50 cal ammo tin. I'll show this off on camera. This is my point of personal pride. Unless you are trying to find a specific paint, in which case it was hell. So I was like, I just want to paint these guys silver. I'm like, right, I've got some 10mm Gondor soldiers. Those are black and silver. I'm like, this is going to be lovely. Like, no, I've had to use 4 different layers just to get their armor looking like anything other than brown, because I undercoated everything in brown. Anyway, yeah, it was fun. It was nice to do some painting. I've got some tiny mechs. I've got a nice Mad Cat, properly scaled as well, but stuck on a round base just to upset those people out there who are Battletech purists, because I will not be using this for Battletech. I'll be using this for something else, probably.
They use hex spaces, don't they?
Yeah, I know, but the hex spaces are a little too small. It's a cool looking game. Like, it's got so much history, but I think the 3mm effect, like, is wicked.
I didn't get that.
Siri,
could you try again?
Today is not the day. Today is not the day. Anyway, did a load of cool hobby. Ben, you and I played a game. We've had some games. We've had some good games in the last month. Almost all of them are live on the channel now as well, which is wicked. So if you guys have been kind of looking forward to seeing some Dungeon Ball, we had 2 games up straight away. And yeah, I think it's probably time we bounced over and talked about that in proper detail. Okay. Okay, let's bowl the dungeon. We're going to talk about Dungeon Bowl. Now, we talked about Dungeon Bowl quite a lot recently. We got excited about it. We did previews of it. We talked about what's happening. And now we've got it. We've seen it. We've played with it. We've played a game. Ben and I played a game with Rick as well. We got some rules wrong. We got some complicated rules wrong. And we've had some games. And I think it's a really good point for us to have a very honest review of Dungeon Bowl, what it is, what's to be excited about, what's not to be excited about, what needs fixing. So, I mean, if you want to see us play a couple of games of Dungeon Bowl with almost all the right rules, just go to the channel. We've got 2 games up. We had the first game up on I think we had one Saturday and one Sunday, so that people, when they were getting their boxes and building their Dark Elves, could just chill out and watch, watch my half.
Take your mind off it.
Yeah, take the bit of the stress off building those silly things. Right. I mean, Ben, you and I played. Which college did you play?
Yes. I ran the College of Fire, the College of Fun.
Yes, you did. You did indeed. Now, we played it straight out of the box, so we didn't add any players. It was just the guys in the box, basically. We both got 1 million gold, so for the College of Fire, that was 2 ogres, 6 noblars, and all the dwarves. And for the purple team, it was everybody except 1 Dark Elf lineman, and that wasn't just so that I didn't have to build another lineman, it was just from a team value point of view. So it was 85 Fire players against 11 College of Shadow. And, I mean, let's talk about the box. I mean, it's quite cool. I love the coloured plastic. It's a really silly thing to enjoy, but I've got it in the background now. We've got the game.
I know what you mean.
Ticking over. It's a simple thing. I like it. Rick tried to prime his and said it was not as easy to prime as standard Games Workshop plastic, though. So,
right. Okay. I think I've heard this before, and I don't buy it. Like, it's plastic. It all primes the same. But something I do think is noticeable with coloured plastic is you can see where you've missed easier. I think it covers the same.
Yeah.
Like, I've never experienced that. But when you've got, like, bright orange, you can see where you've missed more than, like, a grey, which will just look like, especially if you prime it like black.
Yeah, I mean...
that's what I found.
I haven't primed these guys yet. I don't intend to for a little while, because I actually really do like both these colleges, but they definitely... I say the definitely. You know what? We'll come back to that. I mean, Ben, playing the game, I know it's your first time playing Dungeon Bowl. It's my first time playing this edition of Dungeon Bowl. There's some very noticeable rules changes in this one, being that you don't have to pick up the ball when you find it. You just automatically pick it up. At first, I thought that was good. But then when the... which is the college with basically the entire Lizardman team?
Heavens?
Yeah, Heavens. When I did the Heavens video, someone was like, yeah, you don't even lose out getting your Sauruses to open the box, because even though they've got Edge 5+, like, they just auto pick up the ball, and if it's a bomb, they've got Armor 10 anyway. I was like, ooh, that's going to be really good for the College of Death and for the Sauruses. Like, it's an interesting one. And it does kind of defeat the point of, like, those players with sure hands. Like, it's kind of useful, but not as ubiquitous as it is, because you get it right, you won't ever have to pick up the ball, which I thought was just a bit weird.
I mean, in our game though, we had a few ball drops that came up quite a few times, didn't it?
Oh yeah, we
knockdowns and stuff are still inevitability. I guess it's less than an inevitability when it's on a Saurus, but
yeah, it does balance it out a little bit. That was just one thing I noticed. The dungeon you and I played on, it felt quite small, but we used the box, we used nothing extra from the box, and looking at the dungeon now on the screen, we used everything except 2 of the 6 square corridors. So we did 2 different dungeons, and they were both symmetrical, because it's important to kind of get a good balanced factor, so that there's no it was garbage because your end zone was 1 corridor and mine had 4. I actually wanted to play it on an even keel. Dungeon wasn't massive, but
I thought
it felt big enough.
I thought it was fine. Like, we didn't even use like one whole core of it. Like, there was like a whole room. I think we went in like once, if that.
Oh yeah.
And it was just because you went through the wrong teleporter or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really appropriate size. I wouldn't really complain about that. I think the only thing I would change on it is, even though we had 3 corridors leading to the end zone, that still felt quite like
very defendable.
Narrow. I don't know. Yeah, it was quite easy to defend. I don't know. I think spreading it out, maybe having the rooms like in different directions, like sort of more centralized rooms that kind of go outwards and around. I think I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
You had a lot of fun playing with the arrangements of it.
So played a game with Rick, and he was like, "Oh, I'd love to get 2 box sets and put them together and have a massive dungeon." And I'm like, on the one hand, that does actually sound awesome. Like that's that's just awesome. Bigger dungeon, more fun. But actually, from a gameplay point of view, if you're sitting down to play a game of Dungeon Ball, the tiles in the box, you've got plenty to work with. Like, there's plenty of different dungeon layouts, and there's plenty of playability, because it doesn't matter how far away it is. Like, you're going to end up it's going to turn into League of Legends in one way or another, because it's just going to be a case of there is the one channel in the middle, and there's some stuff happening left and right of it, or up and down of it, I guess. And that's kind of how it goes. So gameplay wise, I mean, was it what you were expecting?
No, it wasn't. It was to some degree. I'm glad there was balls off walls. That was something I was expecting. But I think it was a lot more. I think it was a lot more like a Blood Bowl game than I thought it would be. Which sounds weird to say, but I was expecting sort of like the
dungeon,
whole Blood
less
Bowl
bowl
element to be a really back seat. Yeah, kind of. It was more just like, this is just something that kind of directs the game, and then lots of other things happen outside of that. But it was still a game of Blood Bowl. We still wanted to get to the end zone with the ball and doing passing and blocking. And so I was really actually happy with that, because I wouldn't have wanted it to lose that flavour, because if it starts losing the Blood Bowl flavour, you may as well be playing like...
You may as well just be playing Hero Quest.
In terms of like combat-wise. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I agree. Like, you were still playing Blood Bowl, which was cool. Now, I mean, should we address the elephant in the dungeon of the grind, the inevitable grind?
Yeah, I think including these 2 teams, like especially the College of Fire in the starter box, is an odd choice.
Spoiler alert! The College of Fire is good, and starting with 2 big guys is just very good. Because the College of Shadows has just got nothing to go up against it.
Yeah.
Like, the best you've
really
got
doesn't, especially
is the gutter.
If you're running like unskilled teams.
Yeah. I mean, no spoilers for the game, but it's not hard to defend 3 corridors when you've got dwarves and a couple of ogres, and that can be incredibly challenging to break through. And really interesting, the way it plays out, and there's a definite strategy to it, and you can definitely think about the different colleges and how they play out. And when I've been going through the rosters, it's been a case of, right, the death team, what you want to do is bamf in 4 of your flesh golems, 2 of your mummies, and just go and wall your end zone, bring everybody else in by teleporter, and go exploring. There's a couple of things we got wrong, though, Ben, which is when you teleport a dude in, that is it for their turn. You cannot do anything with them.
Oh, okay. So you can't like blitz into the game.
No. And I tell you what, I do like that, but also at the same time, that kind of slows the game down a little bit more. It allows you to adapt.
Also commented on.
But yeah, I mean, I really liked bringing on a guy and then being able to move him, and actually bringing on a guy and just leaving him on the teleporter because you can't do anything else with is like, oof. I don't know whether that would actually speed the game up, because you bringing on reserves, it's too late at that point. So that might actually give a bit more of advantage to the speedy teams that can run around the dungeon. But
yeah, that's true.
But the College of Fire, absolutely stonking. A couple of ogres, the little noblars are brilliant, but a core of dwarfs, it's really, it feels good. It's a good team.
They don't move. Yeah.
And
I actually had I did have a lot of fun, regardless of my comment earlier. The College of Fun, it's that they were still enjoyable. I think you could definitely make adjustments to your roster if you wanted to go for a different game plan.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think that was kind of, when it comes to both of these colleges, I will prime them when it comes to us using them proper. And it will be a case of this college, I mean, 2 ogres is awesome, and you don't really need a lot more than that, but you can have 3, so it might be worth looking at whether or not you have 3. Because three is better than 2. And when it comes to the College of Shadows, they need goblins. The only angle they have, because you've got no way of getting decent strength against strength 3 or against against strength 5 or against well armored strength 3, okay, which is like the dwarves. Best you can do is take a 1-die block into a 2-die block with the Frenzy Witch Elf. The other angle you've got is the Gutter Runner, and I mean, Gutter Runners are not the most resilient of players, shall we say, and because you only get 1
against dwarves.
Yeah, exactly, you've got loads of tackle everywhere. I think that actually having a couple of goblins is going to be so useful for the Shadow team, because actually 3+ forever it gives you more of a chance.
Yeah, and even though they do have tackle, 3+ dodge is still round. It's going to help. It's going to come in.
Yeah, I mean, I was taking 4 5+ dodges just because I needed to try and find a way to break through. It's really interesting. And my game against Rick, a lot of the same stuff happened, which was the case of one side gets the ball, and then it's a really good way to learn how to cage bust.
That's a good point.
Because if you are faced in a corridor with a dwarf cage and you've only got 3 different players, trying to figure out the best bad thing to do to get to the ball, it's a really good challenge. And like you said, it's playing Blood Bowl just with a different dynamic. Well, it really is. And if you like the idea of a set piece challenge, like certain games, and every one of these Dungeon Bowl games is going to play out very differently. You are going to have a different assortment of players and a different square and a different thing. It's like every one of these games is a Mensa test for Blood Bowl players, and you can just bin it off and just roll dice, which is generally my tactic on the channel. I can do this, and this gives me a terrible opportunity to do this, but I'm going to take it and see what happens, and it's always quite fun. But I mean, it was great to play something different, but know how to play it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it didn't take a long time. When we were playing our game, I was learning completely. You were still sort of familiarizing yourself in it, but we still, because of Blood Bowl, just jumped straight in. So if you are a Blood Bowl fan, picking this up is really, really easy.
It's a ton of different ways to play. I mean, it brings us to a few questions that we had going into the game. Is this suitable for your standard 11s teams?
Yeah, I think so.
100%, I think so.
I think, if you're on the fence and maybe a friend has some tiles, or you have some dungeon tiles around or something, just bring your team. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, and that's something that we have to try out soon. I think is just taking some of our 11s teams and just running some DB games with them, because actually, I think having access to the mixed teams is awesome from a modelling opportunity. I mean, you and I talked about the College of Life with the potential for Nurglings or tiny trees and all kinds of cool stuff, right? Each one of the colleges has got some really great themes. You've got an Aztec theme for the College of Heavens, with some conquistadors and some lizards, and someone in the comments was like, well, actually, I could use my Norse guys as the humans, or my Amazons as the humans, and represent kind of like a jungle theme, and that's
a brilliant idea.
Yeah, the College of Fire uses death rollers instead of your ogres, and you find some little clockwork men to be the Noblars. There's a ton of cool stuff that you can do, but
that's such
right.
Sorry, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. This is all that the guys are putting in the comments. This is oh yeah, I've been planning this roster out because of this, and I could use my little clockwork dudes, and it's just one guy went full on. He was like, I just got to use this as a demon team and use my players for this. I'm like, it's just sweet. There's so much creativity. When you add all 3 elements, when you add a dungeon and Dungeon Bowl teams, the barrier to entry it just goes up and up and up. But if you can successfully play this with 11s, and you really can, then you're just oh cool, I'll make a dungeon. I'll take one day and 2 friends and make a dungeon, perhaps. That sounds like an awesome thing to do in my eyes. You can do that, but likewise, actually, what we also want to try as soon as we can is the Dungeon Bowl teams on an 11s pitch. It's going to ramp up the power. Like, it is. But that's not bad. Like, we've done mixed teams galore. And I don't know, man. Like, College of Fire on a Blood Bowl pitch, College of Shadows on a standard Blood Bowl pitch. Now it can make the most of its mix of players.
Yeah, like you say, we've talked about mixed teams a lot on this podcast, and like we've never been anything but fully on board. And I think this is a really cool gateway, especially because mixed teams can be really overwhelming. Just be like, oh, I don't know, like, is this going to be balanced or whatever? Is this gonna be really broken? Like, I don't have access to these models. What do I do? Just choose look at the Dungeon Bowl book. They've spelled it all out. Like, it's as balanced as Blood Bowl is.
Yeah.
And just, make a roster out of that. Try a mixed team on 11s pitch. Try a dungeon league of 11s with the Dungeon Bowl teams. Why not?
Just try
awesome
a different way to chuck it in. I thought it was really good. So, from your first games of Dungeon Bowl, Ben, what were you a bit aware of, or what do you think could be improved upon, or what do you think is a bit of a watch out?
I'm still gonna say I think the price is a little bit off. That's just talking about like the Dungeon Bowl box as a product. I'm still not hugely sold on that. The dungeon tiles are nice, but the content is a little bit slim. I think in terms of the game, I think you definitely introduced a good idea of having the 3 balls. I think the game kind of ground out, and if the crazy stuff didn't happen, it would have gone on forever, we were saying. So
yeah,
I think that's definitely something to bear in mind. Consider putting some kind of timer, because it can go on for a long time, especially with the College of Fire around. Yeah,
I mean, and the College of Fire is... I think it is I don't think it's the bashiest. There's some other colleges that do some stuff, right? The Heavens has got 6 Saurai. There's some other teams out. The College of Metal has got 6 blockers. The Beasts have got There's a bunch of teams there that have just got strength 4 and strength 5, and if you don't have any other strength 4, it's a really interesting arms race. Then there are a couple of these colleges that do not win in that situation. So I mean, Ben, you called out 2 things, and I guess the 2 things I would wholeheartedly recommend for Dungeon Bowl, actually 3 things. One is just play a game. Like, it's wicked fun. You'll come up with a story, and it's just a different way to play. But if you want to play Dungeon Bowl again and again and again and have it be a really fun thing to do, 16 turn timer. Okay, 16 turns is fine. Like, it can get to a point in DB where actually one team's got the ball, and actually they're going to get there because they've got more players, and the players they've got are stronger, and even if it takes 1,000 years of blocking, they're going to win. Well, actually, let's chuck a timer in there, put that race on, and be like, yeah, you need to score. I can still play for a draw, instead of like just the inevitable creeping death. And which is, creeping death is something I referred to in the Death College video, because I'm like, you deploy 4 golems, 2 mummies in your end zone, and they just walk up, and if there's 3 corridors, you split them into 3 teams. If there's 2 corridors, you split them into 2 teams, and then you just sweep and clear the dungeon Pac-Man style, while you're
so thematic though.
Yeah, it is. It is perfect.
Into a dungeon full of undead, yeah,
and you just sweep and clear, but that's not fast, and that doesn't give you a different play style. So 16 turns, at least you can be like, oh, can I try a risky play to pop the ball out to stop you from scoring and grind out a draw? Like, that's fun. We've all been in there in standard 11s, like, I will deny you this touchdown if I'm not going to win, neither are you, which is an incredibly powerful element of gaming. But I mean, I wholeheartedly recommend 2 or 3 balls, because all the Dungeon Bowl games I've played now, the ball gets found, and that's your one corridor, your one travel route is where the action is, and then there's some sneaky stuff around the edges, but most of the players, 80% of the players, are in that one place, and then the others are just randomly flying around in teleporters trying to get an advantage, or literally just trying to get to the action. Whereas if you've got 2 or 3 balls throughout the dungeon, you carry on exploring the dungeon, you split up the action, and if you're playing, if you're playing with the 3 ball variant, you can literally just be like, yeah, you know what? You Death Star your way down the middle with that. I'm going to give you that TD because my faster college is going to spread out and it's going to be much quicker. It kind of brings the colleges in. So it keeps the game going. And 16 turns with 3 balls, it gives you so many varieties of outcomes as well. And at that point, you're doing different stuff. It does change up Dungeon Bowl, but it just adds more decision points for the coaches. And I'm a massive fan of decision points in games. This is why I don't think I like Age of Sigmar quite so much. Because Age of Sigmar is like an auto battler that costs you £300 and 24 hours to play. You
are not wrong.
That might just be from me playing against Ian, and Callum.
There'll be plenty of comments, I'm sure, disagreeing.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I hope I'm wrong, but like that's just my experience. Is like, oh, I see, because you right, yeah, cool. I'll just sit down. And I don't want Dungeon Bowl to be that. And in Blood Bowl, it doesn't matter what team you're playing with or against. There are going to be some times where by turn 4 you've got no options, but that doesn't happen that often because you, generally speaking, always have options. But in Dungeon Bowl, it can be very much to the point of, cool, I got 3 linemen and you've got 6 dwarves and ogres, and all I've got is 2 lie-up blocks and 5+ dodges, and we'll see. Like, actually,
dreams.
It could be like, right, I'm going to leave 1 lineman here to mob up your 3 guys in the centre. I'm going to swoop around with the rest of my team, explore the other dungeon, see if I can pick up one of the other 2 balls. If I can store you in the centre, like maybe I can pick up one of the balls on the left, go for the 1-0. Maybe I just spread out. It just opens up the gameplay. And that again...
Yeah, that sounds way more appealing to me.
And that's something else we need to get on the channel as soon as we can. And with the new setup, I think we'll be able to get some games done much quicker. And
fingers crossed, because that was a lot of fun, despite like the sort of technical issues we had to start with.
Got some learning. Did some learnings.
It was a lot of fun to do that.
I just loved saying,
felt like,
could we go to camera 4, please?
Yeah, that's good fun. Good fun.
And I did like doing the introspective pieces as well. That was quite good.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that a lot.
Right.
Like, can I do record a little bit?
Yeah, I want to say this. It was really good fun. So genuinely, we want your feedback when it comes to the filming and how we did things, because we're trying some different stuff because we want to just make more content and play more games. And this is the kind of thing that we can do to just get more Blood Bowl content out there. And definitely want to be looking at streaming from our tournaments and stuff in the future. I don't know how soon we're going to be able to do it, but it's just fun. Like, it's fun, and there's a whole load of Dungeon Bowl going out there, and we got a huge tournament coming up in February. Like, I think it's like 80 coaches on one day and 60 on the next. Like, at the moment, and
that is growing.
Yeah, it's wicked. Like. That's only 80 people out of 40,000 people that play Blood Bowl, and actually I haven't played Magic the Gathering for a long time, but when the Pro Tour was on at the weekend and I wasn't doing anything, it was awesome. Like, I'm just going to paint, I'm going to put the Pro Tour on. Like, yeah, sports, like, it's just cool to have stuff to watch that you love. And I don't know, watching other people struggle in Blood Bowl is something I really enjoy.
That's why you keep inviting me back to play. I was wondering why.
And cursing the dice. Yeah, absolutely. Trips and I had a pretty big match this week as well. That will be coming out tomorrow for everybody. It's a good one. It's a good one. So, DB, we recommend trying out standard 11s teams. Trying out 3 balls, definitely having a turn timer, but ultimately, if you're not interested, don't play it. But at some point, if someone gives you the opportunity to pick up a game and play a game of Dungeon Bowl, try it out because it's great fun. If you want to play Dungeon Bowl without buying Dungeon Bowl, come down to our tournament on the 7th of May. Like, there will be much Dungeon, much Bowl, and it's in Toyment, so much loot too. So just come play Dungeon Bowl. We haven't quite figured out how it's going to work, whether we're going to go with the 3 ball rules or not, because honestly, waiting for the NAF to decide whether or not Dungeon Bowl is going to be sanctioned and whether running with the 3 ball variant is going to be a thing that's valued. I don't think people are going to care much because Dungeon Bowl is very underrepresented, but I don't know. Yeah. The Dorset Dungeon Bowl, I'd love it for it to be one of the biggest Dungeon Bowl events every year, because
that would be good.
Even if you only pay Dungeon Bowl at the Dorset Dungeon Bowl every year, well, then that's that's a thing, right? This is the one time a year you bust out the teleporters and just go mad with a team of dwarves and ogres. Like, Dungeon Bowl is an event, not...
It is an event.
And let's use it as an event. Like, have a day where you guys play Dungeon Bowl with your crew, or come down and play at a tournament and just, I don't know, get it out of the system. It's a really great way to get your dungeoneering out without giving up your Blood Bowl hobby. It's cool. I mean, we didn't use the rules for the rooms because
yeah, I'd be intrigued to try that.
Yeah,
they seem quite interesting.
But did think that with the amount of rules we were taking in on within a very short space of getting the book, we knew we were going to make some mistakes. We did make some mistakes. Yeah. I did want to do that, and then also have like 8 different rooms with different rules, and just it would have ground to the halt. But
overload.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to mention about Dungeon Bowl, Ben?
Not really. I just think it's definitely worth a try. I think it's worth a try. I do want them to release that damn book on its own, though. That would be really nice. Please do that, Games Workshop.
It's dumb that it doesn't. And
don't need another dwarf sprue. Don't need another ogre sprue. I just want a book.
I guess we should probably talk a little bit negatively. You know, you're right about the price. The price is chunky. It's a wicked Christmas thing. If you've got nothing else going on the hobby spectrum, at that point, like if you want a treat, if you want a cool thing to get that's his own thing, this is brilliant. Like if you've got, gamers that are, happy to binge a thing, if you've got a kid or you've got some kids, or you are a kid and you've got some siblings or parents, this is great. Like I couldn't think of anything better than just grabbing this box, punishing one of you who builds the dark elves, and then just farming some games. Because I don't know, Ben, you and I, we're very busy people when it comes to like doing stuff and what we've got going on, but like I would have just merrily played another game of Dungeon Bowl and another game of Dungeon Bowl with you, because it was just nonsense.
Yeah, it was fun. I will 100% say it was some of the most fun I've had playing a tabletop game in a long time, just because it was so wacky and new and fresh, and that was really, really nice.
Yeah. That's really.
And I knew everything going in. That's all. That, like you said before, that's something that's always really restrictive in board games. Just like, well, what can I do? And then you feel bad when you realise you've been doing. You could have been doing something like for 6 turns, and now it's too late. That always sucks.
Yeah, blocking is blocking.
And knowing Blood Bowl, yeah, exactly. I found it really fun.
No, but the cost element to it. It's not the easiest. It's a luxury. In the Blood Bowl meta, it's very much his own thing. It's a special thing. It's something different. And I guess the negativity that I'm going to bring to this segment is that the book does not have a barcode on it. It doesn't look like the book's going to be available separately. And quite frankly, this could be a limited release that goes away.
I wouldn't want that. I really wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't want that either, but you never know with Games Workshop. Like all the pitches that they've dropped, all the dice that they've dropped, with the exception of the teams and, well, not even all the Forge World stuff, like it can come and go, and
it's cardboard, doesn't usually stay around.
It doesn't. Like the Cursed City kind of taught us, and that's probably where I'm coming from, is that I've been burnt by Games Workshop big box games, but if they don't keep this available and they don't produce the book, that's the weird thing. Is if this was sticking around, producing the book separately would make me feel like, okay, cool. But because they're not, it does worry me that this is a flash in the pan. I mean, you and I got really excited and we're like, oh, what if they have a Dungeon Bowl expansions with extra tiles, extra rooms, theme packs? Like that would just be amazing. But I don't know if I trust Games Workshop to do it that way. Like this could have just been a Blood Bowl cash grab. And it's a wicked one. It's been great fun, and it will continue to be great fun because it's just something really different. But I mean, I guess the really good thing is that it doesn't matter. Like if this goes away, there will be plenty of community support, and you can just make a Dungeon Bowl kit out
Which I'd recommend anyway. Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. So
make a dungeon, or just get a Cocoa Pops box and a ruler. Like you can, or do what I did. Make a dungeon and get it printed. Oh, I haven't shown you that actually, Ben.
I've seen the virtual one. Is that what?
Oh no, it arrived.
I didn't know you got it printed.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, that's news for me.
Oh yeah. I think yeah. Trips came round and it arrived. I was like, hey Trips, look at this.
Nice.
So yeah, you can just get a dungeon printed. Like that's potentially the easiest way to do this. Because it was $8.99 with postage for an A0 coloured print of a dungeon. Wow. Yeah, it was wicked. I was like, this is perfect. It just rolls up, goes in the tube, comes out. There's your dungeon. There's some clever ways to do this. However, I very much have to blow my nose, so we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with FAQ. Okay, so it is December now, and Games Workshop every May and November release an FAQ. They left this one till the real last minute, and had a couple of doozies in it actually. So the FAQ is it's not really an FAQ; it's the designer's commentary, where they just completely rewrite some stuff for the game. So I think the best thing to do is to start at the very beginning, where Ben, you and I, for a while now, have sort of said, General's Handbook in Age of Sigmar, which, is really cool because they rotate the points costs of stuff. Like, it changes up the balance. Like, it's a really cool... Magic the Gathering has rotation. Like, there's things that keep the meta fresh, and then we kind of scoffed and were like, yeah, this will never happen. Like, never happen. And then it kind of did. So the FAQ landed, and we'll jump into the most exciting point of this straight off the bat. Biggest groan test in Blood Bowl at the moment? Probably Hakflem. Games Workshop have increased Hakflem's price. So he was 180. Is that right? He was 180, now he's what, 210?
180. Yep, and he's 210 now, yeah.
And he's 210. So, and Morg has also gone up from 340 to 380 because those were essentially two most common, Hakflem to 210 and Morg to 380. As a way of looking at how much stuff was going on in Blood Bowl. And this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Games Workshop attempting some form of rebalance. But Ben, straight off the bat, changing 2-star players, the two most commonly used star players, and potentially the two most meta warping star players. How do you feel about them moving the cheese?
It shows they're paying attention. I think that's good. I'm still not sure if it's going to be substantial enough. I guess we'll have to wait and see. 180 to 210, 30k difference. That's not huge. It's usually going to still be in the affordable range for Hakflem. I still think 210 is cheap.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to see. There's something else we'll come to later which might affect that as well.
We'll jump straight into this. So yeah, it does look like Games Workshop has been paying attention to Blood Bowl. So we've talked about this, top 5 teams in Blood Bowl from a competitive point of view. Dwarves, Chaos Dwarves, because Amazons, Underworld and High Elves are all in there, right? So Underworld, 65% win rate for most of this year because it's Hakflem spam, it's Snotling spam. They've upped the price of Hakflem. I'm with Ben. I think 210 is still a bargain. I think 240 is where the fair cost comes from. I think 240 is where Hakflem is probably where it belongs. But you know what? 210 is better than 180. Even in a Snotling team, that's 2 Snotlings you're not buying. That's 2 less bodies that you are going to have potentially, or 1 less reroll. It is a thing, okay? It's an absolute thing. They've also looked at the top winning teams and adjusted the tiers. So the tiering. Now, in League, this means absolutely nothing to anybody. This is completely, basically, a constructed thing. So this is for tournaments. So League team tier, where is it? Okay, last page. So the tiers list have been adjusted in November 21. So the promotions, High Elf and Underworld Denizens, who have both been sitting in the top 5 teams. So High Elves have been up there. I think they were 3rd place after Chorf and Underworld. They are now ranked as tier 1. Humans, OWA and Orc have been downgraded to tier 2. How do you feel about that?
I think that's totally sensible. I think that's bang on. We had our tier list kind of retrospective recently. We pretty much said the same thing, right?
Yeah.
These teams with the high win rates should be in tier 1, especially Underworld, I think High Elf too. And yeah, Humans and Orcs being tier 1 was a little bit after results we've seen. I still think Humans could be tier 1, but that I'm still biased in Humans. I still think they're really good, but
They're not bad. They're not bad. So I'm with you on this one. Like Underworld and High Elf being at tier 2, it just meant that they just got bargains of stuff. So it's not a lot. And in most tournaments, it's an extra skill. It's maybe an extra secondary skill. So in all of our tournament lists, basically tier 2 gets an extra skill and a half, probably. So this way, in our events, High Elves go from having 4 skills and a double to just 4 skills, right? It's not a lot, but it takes a slight edge off. And when it comes to humans and orcs, they are great teams, okay? And I don't think it's that they're not good enough to be in tier 1. It's just that if you're going to run a tier 1 team, I think Games Workshop have not looked at this just from a point of view of win percentage and saying, well, they're not winning enough, so let's downgrade them. They've not. I think this is a case of they're not seeing as much play as they probably should, like in competitive events. And why is that? Well, actually, you know what? Downgrade their tier and get them a little bit more. Like actually now, one of our events, tier 2's probably 4 and a double. Well, now you can take that human team and you can give the ogre block, right? And now it's like, oh, okay, all right, that's whereas before it would have been I would take human blitzer with guard, take this human blitzer with guard, I'll take this human blitzer with guard, I'll take this human blitzer with guard, and now you get all that and an ogre has block. So it's not a lot, but actually if you're looking at a roster and going, I could take a lizardman, but it's going to be full guard on my guys, or I can take, I don't know, human's not bad actually. I can squeeze a halfling on there as well. I've got an ogre. I give the ogre block. That's pretty decent. Like if that's what I want to do, give the ogre pro. That makes it better. It helps create those extra things. And it's not that orcs and humans are bad, because they're not, right? And when you look at tier 2 and tier 1, most of these teams, there's not a huge amount in it. There really isn't. Like there's a couple of teams in tier 2 that are just kind of like, what's corporate speak for absolutely awful and a pain, Ben? Challenging?
Oh god,
challenging.
Yeah, we can go with that.
Yeah, there's a couple of teams there that are challenging, like Nurgle and potentially Vampires and Tomb Kings, probably the 3 most challenging tier 2 teams. But like humans, I'd take them against those guys in any matchup. And orcs are great, right? Orcs, they got buffed essentially in this edition, but I think what Games Workshop are doing is looking at how many games, because this is the cool thing about the NAF, like those stats mean that Games Workshop's got really easy access to looking at all the game stats, and orcs and humans aren't being utilised very much. Actually, maybe this way they'll get used a bit more, and I love that. And maybe this way Underworld will get used a little less, and that kind of little adjustment, it's good. What do you think to OWA though?
I didn't have too many strong feelings about OWA. Like we haven't seen them a huge amount.
No, I think them being moved to tier 2 is a really good thing for, and that's it. Just the incentivizing of taking them. Like some coaches will take tier 3 because you get a load of gold and a load of extra star player points or something to spend, and it's kind of like, oh cool, I'm incentivized to take ogres to this one because of the skill package. Well, actually there's going to be some times now where you're incentivized to actually run your human team, to run your OWA team, because OWA now gets 1 or 2 skills more, and you know what, OWA needs 1 or 2 skills more, and I think at tier 2 they're going to perform.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about OWA, but it just, if it wasn't for the Trips, as great as he is in our club and our group, he's been on the channel a lot. If it wasn't for Trips, I don't think I'd ever see this team. Like, he represents OWA in such a good way that I just don't know why people. They're not that exciting, are they? I don't know what it is.
It's weird.
I don't know what it is.
It's because it's because they've just. It's just like they've created something new, but they left all the training wheels on it. And that guy's got loner, and that guy's got animosity. That guy, don't give him block. Like, let's give this guy loner as well. Let's make this guy cost more. Like, what are you doing? Like, come on. Like, everyone's just like, poor OWA. They're just looking at it, and they're just standing there looking at Underworld, going, they got a rat ogre and snotlings, and my dwarf isn't a dwarf. Like, what are you doing? And he's got loner as well. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is like...
It just feels such a miss. I want to love them. I really do.
I believe any...
Maybe we'll see them come back in with tier 2.
I mean, I got my team handed to me by Trips with his OWA team in our Fumble League. OWA do stuff. They can do some stuff, but they need some skills to give you that balance. And maybe
tier 2.
Exactly. So far, Underworld, that were overperforming by 10% above the second place team, their star player that every Underworld team basically took has gone up in price. They have now gone up in tier, so that Rat Ogre that they were invariably taking now doesn't have block anymore, probably, or if it does, it's going to cost more of that. So it's taken a bit of a hit in that and a bit of hit in that. Now there's one other thing that directly affects OWA, not OWA, nothing affects OWA, is the swarming rules for Underworld and Snotlings. So
yeah,
this is interesting. So swarming, add the following. Swarming players must be set up in their team's half. When using swarming, a coach may not set up more players with the swarming trait onto the pitch than the number of friendly players with the swarming trait that are already on the pitch. So if a team had 2 players with swarming already set up and then rolled for 3 more players to enter the pitch using the swarming power, only 2 more could be added because they've only got 2 on the pitch. So Underworld, historically, running Hackflem, having a great time in their tier 2 bracket, LOLing all their double skills, and every setup they could just chuck a free D3 Snotlings on basically to babysit your star player and their Rat Ogre. Now they are going to have to deploy 1, 2 or 3 Snotlings to be able to bring on a maximum of 1, 2 or 3 Snotlings. And Ben, you and I both got some experience playing with and against Snotlings and Underworld, so hit me up, man. What do you reckon? How big a deal is this? Specifically to Underworld, I think.
I think it's actually a pretty big deal. I think it is quite a big deal. I don't think it's going to complete... Like, we've had some, like, across the range of reactions from this. I don't think it's catastrophic and, like, ruined. Like, no longer... Snotling's completely irrelevant in this team now. I don't think it's that bad. Like, I'd still run 2 to take on 2 free ones. That's totally fine.
Yeah,
I think it's much needed. It's weird from like a flavor standpoint. I feel like swarming, they just come on regardless. It's a purely balance and crunch change for sure. But I actually really like this. I think it's a cool way to mitigate it while keeping it there rather than just removing it.
Do you know, it just feels fair, doesn't it? It feels like a rule that you'd always be like, what's the catch? Yeah, okay, fine, there's a catch. All right, so you're telling me I need to put a dude on, but if I put a dude on, I can bring another dude on. All right, okay. So that means that, all right, okay, but there's a strategy. There's a payoff, right? I've got to run some Snotlings so that I can bring on 3 players. Before it was just like, might as well just chuck them on, mate, because you might as well. Like, I've got 40k left over. I got, do I buy a reroll or no? Just buy Snotlings. Well, now you don't. Okay, now you kind of got to drop a goblin from your main roster to then buy 4 Snotlings for your team to be able to actually use that Snotling power. And I think the most important thing, Ben, and I know that you've come across this, is that now Snotlings and Snotling teams are going to feel finite. Whereas before, when you're playing against Underworld, you're playing against Snotlings, they've just got 4 Snotlings sitting on the bench waiting to come on.
You score and you have to deal with another fresh load of Snotlings.
Yeah, but if they have to deploy 2, if they've only got 4 Snotlings on the roster and you kill a Snotling, well, that means they're only bringing on 1 via swarming, basically. So it kind of, it does mitigate it. Now, Snotlings by themselves are still really useful, and even if you're only deploying 1, you will always be able to bring on a second one if you've got a spare Snotling. So like the lowest threshold is that I only have 2 Snotlings on my team. Well, set up 1 and you can always bring on that second one, and for at least 1 drive you're going to have 12 players on the pitch. That's still really good, because you chuck him against Varag or another Rat Ogre or a Bloodthirster, and for 15k, yeah, fine. If there was an inducement that you could take for 50k that said for 1 drive that Bloodthirster doesn't do anything, dude, sign me right up. Well, now it's 15k, and sometimes you're not going to have it for the entire game. That's still an absolute bargain, because the rest of the team is still great. Hack Phlegm, more expensive, still cheap enough to be able to fit into almost every team. You've still got a gutter runner and the best thrower in the game and a rat ogre and a blitz. You've still got stuff. It's just it's just gone from it just feels fair now. Like, this is now a choice as opposed to and sprinkles. Like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Would you like sprinkles or marshmallows?
It will mix up. Yeah. I think it does affect Underworld the most, and I think it will really shape up the rosters that we see. And I'm really keen to see sort of, in the next tournament we bring, how this comes into play. I'll kind of be trying to keep a close eye on this, just out of interest, just to see what's different this time. Are you still bringing Hack Phlegm? Probably, but by bringing Hack Phlegm with an extra 30k, and now you have to pay for Snotlings.
Yeah, it's definitely a cost. And that's I think that's really good when you're looking at a 65% win rate. Like, even if they lose 15% and they're sitting at the 50% mark, you know what? That's where every team should be, and every other team is between 45 and 55. Like, the rest of the teams there, with the exception of Underworld at 65% and Goblins at 35%, are within that 10-point spread, which is incredible, right? And this is definitely going to bring Underworld into the loop a little bit more, and I think that's great. And from a league point of view, Snotlings and Underworld have been decent in League, but I think League is way tighter. I think a lot of the time, anyway, it's kind of
there's usually less abuse.
Yeah, it's imbalanced more heavily in League anyway, isn't it? Because yeah, exactly. Someone's always going to take dwarves. I guess. So, what other bits and bobs were there from the FAQs? I mean, we're going to talk about
the Death Zone Sevens thing was quite good to see.
Oh my goodness me! Yeah, so, Sevens is back to normal.
Yeah. So, in a game of Blood Bowl Sevens, can the ball be placed in the centre field during the kickoff? Yes. Yeah, that's really cool, because that was always really ambiguous, wasn't it? Like, we would always play it like this anyway, because it just is better. Yeah. So the fact that you can not worry about touchbacks when it lands in the zone it's probably going to land in.
Yeah, and that's really great, because we kind of, it's not that we put off playing Sevens or filming Sevens content, it's just, man, the prospect of filming a Seven Super Series without that FAQ being cleared up was just a bit like, hey, we are going to play it this way because it is the right way, because it's more fun, but technically it's not the rules. That's just an ugly place to be. Like, I don't, now it's sorted. Although you're going to have more touchbacks than before, because it's not, in the old NAF 7s, it was 2d6 take the lowest. This way it's 1d6. And you know what? I think that's fine. So, because
when you got the zone, especially.
Yeah. So you're not going to be able to pinch point it quite as well. So I think that's great. And you're right, Ben. That's a massive win. From a crunchy rules aspect, I guess we should talk about Mighty Blow. And the fact that if you take both down, so we've been doing this in the Bonehead Championship. So if you've been watching our games, you'll see us with the Ogre or with the Rat Ogre. We'll be like, with the Flipping Giants was an absolutely cracking example of yeah, I'm in a good place. I rolled a both down. I'm just going to take the both down, because at least then I get a shot at you with Mighty Blow. I've got armor 1,000,000 anyway, so it's going to be fine. Mighty Blow no longer works when you take a both down.
This seems weird. I don't like this one personally. I think Mighty Blow is already hard. Skills like this always seem so restrictive now. It seems like there's more cases where you can't use it than when you can use it.
If a player with the Mighty Blow plus X skill makes a block action and then chooses the both down result and is knocked down themselves, can they still apply the effects of Mighty Blow? No, as when the armor roll is made for the opposition player, the player with Mighty Blow is prone and so cannot use the skill. Oh, yeah.
Who would have assumed that? That's the trouble with the FAQ. It's meant to clear up things that people would is this? Was anyone assuming that they couldn't? You're still punching them down.
How is this ambiguous?
How else are they going down?
I know. This is it. I punch you, but okay. Well, I'll tell you what.
I'm on the floor.
Well, let's put some
the punches.
Let's put some narrative. You go down as well, so we can assume that you're slipping while you're hitting them. So you're not allowed. You're not able to plant yourself and go for the full smash potentially. That's my best fluff justification. That's
Yeah,
you know me. That's how I do things, Ben. With something stupid, I like to try and find a reasonable explanation for it. This one I think is stupid, but it's now how the rules work. But to be fair, like compared to what they did with Hail Mary Pass last time, this one is like Like this is and you know what? The worst thing about this FAQ thing, they dropped this Barak Far Blast model in it, and in the rules is like, hey, this guy's got a wicked accurate Hail Mary Pass. And the FAQs here, and we're thinking, oh my goodness, he's landed, there's got Hail Mary Pass, they're going to have fixed Hail Mary Pass? Nope, they're just like, hey, here's this star player with this skill that's completely unusable. You want to throw the ball in a random direction, use this skill. Yeah, bit of a fail. However, that's not a new one for this FAQ. That one's still dumb from the last time.
That was one we wanted to see.
Yeah, it would have been really nice for them to bounce that back. However, talking of bombers, did you see they get running past now?
Oh, I did see this. Yeah, so isn't they can continue using their movement after they've thrown it?
Yeah. So the rest of the FAQ stuff was really like crunchy stuff. So can the strip ball skill be used to make a player who used the stand firm skill drop the ball when it's Tuesday afternoon? Yes, it's a lot of specific stuff like that, which is really good for them to clear up. But sometimes something like this is quite cool. What happens when a player with the Bombardier trait and the safe pass skill fumbles a throw when making a throw bomb action? The bomb will not be dropped and does not explode. The player's activation does end. Can a player who made a throw bomb special action still use the running pass skill to move after throwing the bomb? Yes, they can. So
yeah, that's cool.
This is huge.
Really cool.
So
that puts running pass really into the limelight skills to take, where before it was kind of just like, no, that's fine.
Well, we just didn't think it worked with bomb because you're not throwing a pass, you're throwing a bomb. Really interesting rules interaction. I don't quite understand that one, but I mean, Hail Mary Pass was the skill for bombardiers. That went away, and then we were like, all right, let's just take accurate because then we're 3+ bombing a 3 square bomb, like it's fine. And then you and I even talked about using 2 bombers and using them as a fire team. Okay, using the military style. One moves, fire and movement. One moves, the other throws a bomb. You cover each other. Like it's great. Well, now one dude just gets running past and then just throw a bomb, run away 5 squares. Throw a bomb, run away 5 squares. It's wicked. It's like it's like Bomberman. Like it's so good. Put the bomb on the floor, kick it, run away. Like it's so good.
It's good. It really helps negate that whole, standing still and throwing your bomb. Like now you get movement. It's just after the throw. Yeah,
you can Ben, you and I know very well how good Snotling bombers are. So the fact that there is now a skill they can take to make them better, you chuck accurate running past Bombardier. Whoa, that's a legend. Legend of a player. At a bargain of 14 SPP. So they only have to get the MVP 4 times. And then they are every turn just 4+ 6 square and a bomb away and then running away afterwards. Oh, it's just so unnecessary. It's fabulous. So that's pretty cool. Oh, another great skill. Can the stab trait be used in conjunction with multiple block to make 2 stabs? Flipping yes. Yes.
That's cool. I think we assume that one already. I think we've had that come up.
I think it was a no.
Okay.
I think it was a no, but maybe.
I think that's it. Because it used to be the case in the old edition, right? But
then
now they said something multiple block. It has to be block actions.
Something like that. Yeah. The next FAQ would be sweet if they could say that both blocks from a frenzy attack would be applicable to stab. Because when you're looking at Dark Elf assassins, who are sneaky good in this meta, because there's a lot of low armor around. Actually, if you've got an assassin, putting him on the line and taking a free opportunity strike at an Amazon, a Norse, a Snotling, a Skaven, like anything with armor 8+, it's just really good. And we kind of thought, frenzy, can we do 2 stabs? No, you can stab then block, or block then stab, one of the other 2. Because multiple block kind of went away in this edition, because there was a Stunty League star player who I made for my Chaos Halflings who had multiple block stab I was wicked. It's like 80k and he just put him on the line for 1 drive and he stabbed 2 dudes. You had 2 chainsaws on that roster and then your big claw. That was wicked. It's just carnage. Like, it's so good. So now, if you can save up 12 SPP for your Dark Elf Assassin, they can take multiple block, being the only player out there with the stab action. I mean, it's a really... At least it's something fun to do, right?
It is, and I mean, that's why you take an Assassin, really, as well. So it's... Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's a welcome change.
Okay, I'm just going to flick through the doc and see if there's any, like,
There's quite a few, like, self-explanatory ones, I think. And some that were really relevant to, like, the whole list of changes to... Oh, no, they just basically made... You can only take one option, any characteristic improvement on all the special players, which we still haven't used. The special guys from Death Zone.
But you do bring up a good point. They have changed the... If you save up SPP and roll for a stat up, and you don't like the stat up, the rulebook says, don't worry about it, you can take a secondary instead. But now you can take a secondary or a primary. So if you save up to try and get that extra point of strength, but you don't want to give your guy dodge, you'd really rather just give him guard instead, you can do that.
Okay, that's cool.
I think that's potentially how we would have done it anyway, but I do like that. That does make a lot of sense. Those rules are very specific. Stab's good. Throwing bombs where you're running around is good. Will a prone player that fails rolls for animal savagery still lash out against teammates? Yes. So watch out for your rat ogres who are prone in that regard. If they rage on the ground, they will still swipe somebody's legs out, which can be pretty rubbish. Biased referees, don't worry about that. Redrafting a team, hypnogaze, nothing massive. Some Death Zone bits about extra stuff. Can a player that has been rooted as per take root use skills like pile driver and wrestle in order to be placed prone and therefore no longer rooted? Yes. So wrestle or pile driver on your tree men, extra points there for that, because actually knock a dude, drop to the ground, pretty useful. Again, kind of a pretty low frequency case, I think, on that one.
Taking wrestle on your tree man to avoid that, or the pile driver.
Yeah.
It's the foul one, right?
You block barrel for armor, then place yourself prone. We've done swarming, we've done hack phlegm, Death Zone, like you said, Ben. There's a load of stuff about you can only adjust mercenary skills by one, and then the tier list. So I have two overreactions to make from this. One is Games Workshop love Blood Bowl again. Completely love it again. They've done good work with the FAQ. I love everything in this doc, I think, apart from that Mighty Blow nonsense. But you know what? They've looked at adjusting tiers. They've adjusted star player costs. They've made some sensible clarity there with the rules in sevens, and they've made running past useful, right? The only thing that would have made me happier is if they'd left Mighty Blow well alone and brought Hail Mary Pass back. Other than that, like, this is a clean sweep. So I think they love Blood Bowl. Ben, rebuttal.
If they do this more than once a year, we can take that. I would like to see this monthly at least, honestly. But that's asking a lot from Games Workshop.
And that's asking a huge amount from TOs as well.
Yeah, that's true. But I do seeing this price increase on the I go a million times on the podcast how I would love to see this whole meta shift. Even rotations of star players I think would be really cool. I don't know if it will change, if the game changes enough and we get enough data to warrant that kind of schedule on it, but I think more than once a year could be quite.
Tier list rotation every 6 months with the FAQ, you know what, that could be quite cool as well. That could definitely be quite cool. And if there is a need for star players, someone did flag up, a couple of people flagged up and said, well, they left Griff alone. I'm like, you know what, at 280 I think Griff is really good, but he's also quite fairly priced.
Yeah, I think he's fine as well. Yeah, he's always seemed good, but fine.
I love that. And my other sweeping overreaction is that High Elves are coming back. And I've got several pieces of evidence I'd like to bring to the court. One,
okay, go ahead.
They've changed the tier of them. Okay.
Yep.
All right. They don't sell high elf teams, so adjusting the competitiveness or just even acknowledging that team exists does absolutely nothing for them. The second thing is that the College of Heavens has got like no players in it and is absolutely primed for High Elves to land back in and go into that. So with those two pieces of completely fractured nonsense things, I have 120% confirmed that High... No, it just...
A shred of doubt.
Yeah, I just, without, almost as much certainty as the Squig team prediction for this year. I don't know. I can see it happening. I can see it. Am I completely out of line?
No, I can see it. I think it's likely that we'll see something. I would like to see it because High Elves are quite uninspired roster. That's one that could use a bit of shaking up, I think. So, yeah, it could be fun.
They've had their tier upgraded, so less skills.
Yeah, they could come in guns blazing.
They might
passing 2+ on everyone.
I mean,
that'd be cool.
Something with linemen with decent passing. Passing 3+ on everyone would be pretty good.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's my massive overreaction when it comes to that. I mean, there's the potential there for a new Skaven team to land because we've seen a Rat Ogre. There's a potential there for Chaos Dwarves to land because we've seen Barrack Farblast. Likelihood is that they were just sculpting tests for somebody who's just joined the team and actually they wanted to sculpt it, or someone was just like, I'm going to sculpt Barrack because it's wicked and now we can release him with the rules, and that's cool. But yeah, the potential for High Elves to land would be wicked. It just... Regardless, we can 100% with certainty say the Games Workshop are keeping an eye on what's going on in the Blood Bowl community, because the changes that they've done here, for the most part, as far as Games Workshop goes to get stuff right, this is pretty good. This is
top notch.
This is pretty good. I mean, if there was anything you and I would want more from it, Ben, was there anything you could think of, like from a single FAQ document?
Not that I've already said in terms of like a bit more focus on the stars. I think, but other than that, it's nice to clear up the questions people had. Yeah, that's about it, really.
It's not a huge amount that we're kind of left pondering around, I don't think. There might be something that I've forgotten, but I mean, we talked about whether or not Blood Bowl was complete, and it definitely isn't. But it's the closest that it's been in such a long time.
It's definitely getting there.
Yeah, there's still the teams of legend that are going to drop when they drop, and there's still new teams that kind of land from Games Workshop, but constructed format is in a pretty good space. These adjustments are going to bring the outlier back in. We need to see the Goblin Stars land just to give Goblins a little bit of a boost and bring it back in, and I'd like to somehow see a bit of a change of the Goblin roster to give them a bit of a something. I don't think they need much of a change cost. Maybe a third troll, or I don't know, something to give them a bit of an edge. But you know what? Maybe just Ripper landing or just the star players landing would be enough.
Ripper. Yeah, it'll be Ripper.
Ripper and Scrapper maybe, just as kind of a little bit of option. But we talked about this, didn't we? Goblins aren't not there to win Blood Bowl. They're just there to cause carnage. They're your Heath Ledger Joker of Blood Bowl. And I don't know, I think every single one of these teams, there's an angle to take. Nurgle's probably the least attractive, but we had 3 Nurgle teams in our last tournament, and they each had a different angle. Like one dude was playing vanilla Nurgle with no hack phlegm, like it was just going pure raw Nurgle. It's great because it's a challenge, and I like that. And there's a lot of different ways to play it right now. And this could be the healthiest this game has been, potentially ever. Like, I mean, obviously there was the golden era of the CRP where everything was the same for like 10 years. And there is a great thing about that, but I'd rather take this level of like, the rules are 95% there, but we're getting releases. We're getting cool new stuff. And as great as the third-party releases are, Grebo cannot make teams as quickly and as cheaply as Games Workshop can. And I would rather I don't know, man. Like £25.
Just my millennial attention span, but I don't think I could cope playing the same thing for 10 years. stuff needs to change to
Well,
keep me interested nowadays.
This
I don't
was
think I'm the only one.
no. This was always. I think this was why it was so good with Blood Bowl. Is because if you were a mono gamer, and all you did was play Blood Bowl, not even like at a league, but just you went to a Blood Bowl tournament every couple of months, every few months. It's the same. Like, I mean, I remember when Warhammer Underworlds landed, I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to get into that soon. And then 2 years later, everything is different. Everything's changed. The stuff I'd bought and was like, oh, cool, I'll play some games of that. Rotated out, like literally unusable garbage at that point. You know, the great thing about the way Blood Bowl used to be is like, oh, I've got my Slan team in the cupboard. How is Slan these days? Exactly the same. All right, sweet. I can just roll with Slan. And it was nice. It was casual. And there was no like,
Yeah, that's true.
there was no what I guess could be really only classified as meta anxiety, which you get with card games that you do get with the core Games Workshop games, right? Because
Yeah, to a degree, for sure.
like, oh, I've got my Ultramarines army in the cupboard. How are they now? Well, actually, they're bigger now, and all your stuff doesn't count. Like, oh, I got Stormcast when Age of Sigmar landed. How are Stormcast doing these days? I was like, well, they've got strictly better units. So everything you own is now just kind of robot men from Doctor
Not as
Who
good.
garbage. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that doesn't happen in Blood Bowl. And when the rules committee was looking after it, it was static, and every now and again some of it would get tweaked one way or another. But it was a casual game. But now it feels like this is up there. Like, it will never be as big as Age of Sigmar and 40k. I assume just because they have bigger monsters and tanks, and you know, I'm a big fan of both those things. That's why giants in Blood Bowl are so good. But like, tanks in Blood Bowl, how are you talking?
I pitched that once.
I know we do.
Only
Yeah,
Ross
that was wicked. But you know, having an evergreen product maintained by the community, it's free. And Ben, you and I see this with the one-page rule stuff, like, and the other companies that just have rules and they don't change much. They just are. They're just there to play. Whereas Games Workshop are producing a product that is alive, and things grow old and they change and they get different. Like, this is a show. This is a series, right? And you and I have said, like, this is a season. Like, what we'd love is every year them to update it and be like, the year 2582, Griff got old. He's now only movement 6. You know, that'd be really cool to see. But
Old man Griff.
at the same time, like, you drop out and have a baby, and then you come back when the baby's 1, because that's genuinely how life works. And you're like, oh, I used to love running Griff, and you can be like, oh yeah, he's in a wheelchair now. It's not, you know, it's not potentially
You're selling
the
this to
best.
me, Ben.
Yeah. I've got wheelchair Griff.
I'm proud of this idea.
Ball and chain, movement 3, strength 5, not great, but you know, he's okay. Excellent parking. Like, there's just some I don't know. I love the idea of both sides of it, but the realization of how much gaming we can actually get in, I mean,
Yeah.
I am blessed. The way Tiff is just so chill about me going off and doing stupid stuff, as you can see by this channel. I'm, you know, amazing, but I don't get to go to that many tournaments and that many events. And if the meta was changing every 3 months, I think that would, I mean, it'd be great to make those videos and theorize rosters every 3 months. I'd have a great time. But you know what? When we see our guys coming to the tournaments, you know, like, we've got, I don't know what it is for Saturday on Beachhead. It's somewhere between 75 and 90, something like that, right?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, like, just, I guarantee you that a good third of those players are going to be like, oh, I only really play Blood Bowl at tournaments, and I go to about 4 a year. And it's like, actually, you know what? I'd much rather we just had a game that people could casually play in. Actually, that's not fair. What I'd love to see is a subcategory of Blood Bowl, like with Magic the Gathering. Like, you've got Modern, you've got Legacy, you've got Standard.
Yeah.
Actually, it
That
would be
good.
it would be sweet to be like, hey, here's the competitive format for Blood Bowl right now, and that is tweaked based on win percentage, and stars are regularly changing.
Yeah.
Like, actually, can't take.
Here's like a legacy format, which doesn't really change.
Yeah, here's the book. Here's the rules as written. Enjoy your giants, your wizards, everything. Like, go have a great time. Nothing's going to change unless Games Workshop changes it. But here's the competitive format, and I think the Dutch all teams viable one is probably the best way they do that. They don't tweak the price of stars. What they do tweak is the ability for teams to buy, so they've got like 7 tiers. And they'll rotate teams in and out when they perform well or not, and it gives them opportunity to buy more players and more skills. And
that's cool.
It is really cool. The way they do it, using gold nuggets, they use gold bars, and you can trade a gold bar for 3 skills or a coupon for pizza. It's a very strange. It's
like a video game with all the different currencies.
Yeah, this one you get 2 rare candy from this.
Frozen gems.
Yeah, it's quite a cool idea, and I don't know. Maybe if Blood Bowl stays alive to this level of vibrancy, we could see that develop, and that would be very interesting to see a competitive sub format of Blood Bowl that rotates based on win percentages and tiers, and actually you see different changes with star players. But a narrative way of doing it from Games Workshop would be really cool if they started to lean into the sports roleplay angle of it, like you said, Ben. And just like, actually, this season, Hackflem is playing for this team, so can't be taken by Underworld, but can now be taken by Black Orcs and Chaos. That would be just like a cool thing. I think War Machine sort of did a thing where they had like their star players and their different modes, like from different elements of their history. There was like epic warcaster this guy and junior warcaster this guy.
That's cool.
And it was quite cool, and they could advance the story, and they brought in like meta Greymon version of this dude. It's interesting. Like, Blood Bowl's definitely the environment which you could do that in, but I just think it's too much of a casual game to be I guess to keep up with it that much. I just don't think wargaming can cope with anything more than 6 months. I think 6 months is probably as frequently as you could change stuff.
Well, I think you're right. To be fair, unless it's like some people, it's very, very like a full-time thing. But not the vast majority. Just to be
that. I mean, but that's kind of where Magic do things, and but their community's massive, and you don't have to paint the cards.
That's a big.
I mean, it doesn't matter how long. It doesn't matter how much notice I've got before an event. I will be painting it the night before anyway. So yeah. Anyway, Ben, I think we've covered everything on the list today. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
groovy. So then we will wrap up. Just want to say a big thank you to everybody listening, everybody who supports us, all of our patrons. We've got absolute scores of you in there, so thank you so much for supporting the show. I've got some work for you to do over the next month, and actually, if you're in a Discord, you as well. And that is looking at some Dungeon Bowl stuff, but also looking at what we're going to do differently, do better, what content you want us to see us move into next year. Ben and I have done a lot of hard work in the last few months to kind of make things a bit easier for us back at house, and that revolves around some of the e-commerce stuff we get on the website, because at the moment it does not work for us and causes problems, and also the way we film stuff. So we do want your advice and input, because we've got 6 more games of the Bonehead Championship to film and put out, and then we get the chance to do something a little bit different. So it could be Sevens, it could be Dungeon Bowl, it could be anything. So we're definitely going to start moving in and pestering you guys to get your thoughts on that, because we love playing Blood Bowl. It doesn't really matter what we do. It's just about actually what is the most fun to watch and to partake in. Anyway, BT, thanks very much, man. It's always nice to hang out, and I appreciate you letting me vent to you before the show.
Always a pleasure. It's all good. This is our time to relax and catch up. So
it's been a week.
Yeah.
Right. Let's sign off then, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead Podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.